Okay.
Ready?
When you're ready.
You know, I've been involved in one way or another in Aboriginal affairs for 44 years. I've seen things come and go.
We want to see a real difference for the lives of First Nations people right across Australia.
The Voice is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to improve the lives of our people.
This is a measure that we can take to make sure that my children, my two sons, don't inherit the same statistics that I inherited.
That's what The Voice can do. If we listen to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people about the issues that affect them in their communities, then we will have better outcomes.
This is an opportunity to close the gap.
And I know and I believe that the goodwill of Australians will get this over the line.
What is The Voice? The Voice will be a committee of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who will give advice to the Parliament and Government on issues that affect our communities. It will include Indigenous Australians from every state and territory, the Torres Strait Islands, and representatives from the regions and remote communities. It will include young people and a balance of men and women. Members of The Voice will be chosen by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in their local area and serve for a fixed period. The Voice is about recognition, listening and better results. Recognising Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in our Constitution and paying respect to 65,000 years of culture and tradition. Listening to advice from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people about matters that affect our lives so governments make better decisions. Making practical progress in Indigenous health, education, employment and housing so people have a much better life. When governments listen to people about issues that affect them, they make better decisions, they get better results and deliver better value for money. The Voice will give advice on key issues facing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, from better infant health to improving services in remote areas. Parliament and Government will still be responsible for all laws, programs and funding.
How will The Voice help government to work better? The Voice is so simply about advice.
It will be a committee of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who will give advice to the Parliament and the Government on issues that affect our communities.
When governments listen to people, they get better outcomes and use funding more effectively. I feel like that's really a no-brainer.
Like Auntie Pat Anderson, AO, co-chair of the Uluru Dialogues, Alawa woman said, when you involve people, you make better decisions and the money you spend goes to where it's needed most, to the people on the ground.
Governments from both sides have invested billions in programs that haven't fixed problems or reached communities. A Voice will help us listen to locals and save money. We're all better off when governments don't waste taxpayer money on things that just aren't working. As well as helping the government to use funding more effectively, it's also backed by legal experts. Senior lawyers and former High Court judges have been part of this process and have backed this addition to the Constitution. They've said it's constitutionally and legally sound, will enhance our system of government.
And will have no veto power. Parliament and Government have final sign-off and will still be responsible for all laws, programs and funding.
Why do Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people want a voice? Well, the call for a voice didn't come from politicians. Constitutional recognition through a voice is an idea that comes directly from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. In 2017, after many years of work and countless conversations in every part of the country, nearly 250 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander leaders and elders endorsed the Uluru Statement from the Heart, calling for recognition in the Constitution through a voice, asking Australian people to help make practical change in our lives and create better opportunities for our children. There are big challenges facing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. A life expectancy 8 years shorter than non-Indigenous Australians, worse rates of disease and infant mortality, a suicide rate twice as high, fewer opportunities for education and training. Clearly, the current approach just isn't working. To close these gaps, find solutions and plan for the future, we need to listen to advice from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people about issues affecting our lives and communities.
What difference will it make for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people? Constitutional recognition is a powerful statement that will drive practical change.
The Voice will help deliver real improvements for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in life expectancy, infant mortality and health, education and employment.
For too long, governments with good intentions have spent billions of dollars trying to deal with these issues.
But they haven't achieved lasting improvement because they haven't listened to people on the ground.
The current approach is broken and the Voice is our best chance to fix it.
No one thinks the Voice will instantly solve everything, but we will finally have the right approach in place.
What difference will the Voice make to my life? The Voice will mean a better future for all Australians. It will unite our nation and make a positive difference. Australia has come a long way since our Constitution came into effect in 1901. We now rightly celebrate Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and our contributions to the country. At the 1967 referendum, 90% of Australians voted yes to change the Constitution, so Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people would be counted in the population in the same way as everyone else. It was a unifying step forward, and together we have a chance to take the next step, recognising Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people through a voice. Other nations with similar histories like Canada, New Zealand, formally recognised their own First Peoples decades ago. Experience shows there is nothing to fear and so much to gain.
Why does it need to be in the Constitution? The Voice will advise on practical steps to improve Indigenous health, education, employment and housing. Putting the Voice in the Constitution gives it stability and independence, now and into the future.
This means the Voice can give frank advice without getting caught up in short-term politics. And we can't solve all the challenges Indigenous Australians face overnight. We need action now, as well as planning for the long term. And that's why we need a voice that can't be abolished with the stroke of a pen. What is a referendum and how will voting work?
Australians will be asked to vote in a referendum to change the Constitution later this year. The important thing to know is that voting is compulsory. If you vote in elections, you must vote in a referendum. Just like at an election, you'll go to a local polling booth to vote. When you vote, you'll be asked to write yes or no on the ballot paper.
The question that you will be asked at the referendum is a proposed law to alter the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. Do you approve this proposed alteration?
The proposed law that Australians are being asked to approve would insert a new section into the Constitution in recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the First Peoples of Australia. There shall be a body called Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice. The Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice may make representations to the Parliament and the Executive Government of the Commonwealth on matters relating to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples.
The Parliament shall, subject to this Constitution, have power to make laws with respect to matters relating to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice, including its composition, powers, function and procedures. If you want to find out more about how the referendum will work, visit voice.gov.au.
Why does this have to happen now? Right now, today, my 7-year-old son can sit in a classroom and expect to die 7 or 8 years younger than his classmates today in Australia. That is a national shame. Every Australian will have the opportunity to change that trajectory in the referendum later this year. And it is absolutely upon each and every Australian to make sure that you do the work and get informed. And it is so important that we act now as a country to change this.
We don't want to risk more of the same. Worse life expectancy, worse results in education and employment, worse outcomes in health. The Voice will break this cycle and bring our country together.
I want to get involved in a campaign. What can I do to help? This is a national conversation. The best thing that you can do is talk to your family and friends. your neighbours, your work colleagues about why you are voting yes. There's a link on the Yes campaign's website with tips about how to approach this conversation at action.yes23.com.au. You can also sign up to be a volunteer for the Yes campaign and help out with things like putting up a Yes sign in your house or business, helping out at information events and speaking with community members, speaking with voters in your community, handing out at a polling place, helping distribute and install signs, helping speak to multicultural and linguistically diverse voters. Sign up to volunteer at action.yes23.com.au.